Welcome everyone to week number 7 in Science 200. We are in our next to the last week, but we still have plenty going on. So let's see what is happening. So last week you finished up your final draft for your whole project. You covered all the information that you needed to. You defined your issue. You supported it with a particular question that you wanted to ask, and you found scientific sources. You described what they meant and what information you got from them. You developed a good testable hypothesis, and you figured out how you would answer that particular question. You figured out what the scientific principles were behind your particular topic. So you've covered all of that. You gathered the information, and then this week you're going to do something with that. So this week is week number 7, and you're going to work in your web text again. There's going to be some information about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill and how it was reported. So this week is all about the communication of science, how important it is for scientists to be able to speak to members of the general public about their research, along with their colleagues that are doing the same type of research. So communication of science is terribly important. And there are whole jobs that have nothing to do with anything except communicating science through the media in all different forms, social media, articles, journal articles, magazine articles, newspaper articles, being a spokesperson for different organizations that meet with different media outlets. So there are whole jobs that entail this. If you're going to analyze a report about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and you're going to analyze it looking at the way that the science is being communicated and what strategies had to be used in order to present this to the public in an understandable way. And this goes along with what else you have to do this week, and that is to make a set of speaker's notes. So you're going to make a set of speaker's notes for your presentation. In week 8, you have to turn in a set of slides, 5 to 7 slides on your topic over your project that you have researched this term. And it would be as if you were giving this presentation to your audience. Remember, you chose your audience. So let me show you. I'm going to skip around just a little bit. This is what a slide might look like that you have on ocean acidification. You'll notice that you don't have 1,000 billion words on here, because one thing you never do with your slides is read the slide to your audience. That is extremely boring because your audience can read. So you're explaining things to them, and the slide should just prompt you for the ideas so that you can go ahead and discuss them. So what is ocean acidification? This is a process where carbon dioxide, excessive carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, becomes absorbed by the ocean water, and then that carbon dioxide changes the pH of the water and lowers it to become more and more acidic over time. And we are seeing this trend that the ocean water is becoming more acidic, and this has consequences. Okay, so you see how you start out answering that first question. All right, do you see where I have the arrow pointed right there? It says click to add notes. That's where you're going to add your speaker's notes in week 8. So what are your speaker's notes? Your speaker's notes are what you would say to your audience about each one of these slides that you are presenting. And you have certain topics that you have to cover. And so I'll go back to this slide right here, so that you can see what the elements are for your speaker's notes, the scientific background. All right, this is going to include a definition of whatever your issue is. So you just don't hop in and say, GMOs are really controversial. Okay, back up a minute. A lot of people don't know what GMO stands for, genetically modified organism. And when you tell them that, they don't know what it means. You have to tell them these are organisms that have had their genes or pieces of DNA modified or manipulated in order to give these organisms new traits like herbicide resistance, like production of vitamin A in a type of rice, insect resistance from predation, that sort of thing. So you have to explain what it is before you even jump into the scientific part of it. You have your sources, which help to give you information for this particular section, your scientific background. So what do the sources say about this particular issue? Remember, that's that big overarching question that you developed early on. You're going to show me that you can explain to your audience the information that you have. So how does this affect your audience? Why should your audience care about this topic? Because that's what your audience is thinking as soon as you start talking. What does this have to do with me? Yeah, so make sure you cover that. Empirical evidence, so you give statistics, you show graphs, you do whatever you need to show supporting evidence for your particular viewpoint. If you're saying that electric vehicles aren't quite as green as everybody's making them out to be, then you should show some statistics, like how much pollution is caused by the mining of lithium that makes the lithium batteries, how dangerous are disposable of lithium batteries in landfills, that sort of thing. What information have you gathered about that? Personally, what does this have to do with you? Why is this important to you? Why do you care about this? And don't say that you don't, because if you don't, then why should your audience care? Investigation, show how this impacted your thinking about the topic, and hopefully some of you have gained some insight into some of these topics and have a greater understanding about them and why they happen. So, for example, biodiversity conservation. I think you have found, if you looked into this topic, that habitat loss is the major way that biodiversity is declining in the world today. So, hopefully you learned something about that. Your message, was this communicated in a successful way to your audience? Was it done with the right tone? Was it done with the right language, the right level of understanding, all that sort of thing? And then articulation of response, of course, no grammatical errors in the proper format and all that sort of thing. Okay, so speaker's notes, they should be organized according to these sections. Okay? And they're going to go on your slides. So you can see at the top, you're going to have one on scientific background. Now, you're not going to call that slide scientific background. You're going to call it GMOs, electric vehicles, and how green they are, whatever it is. But I want to see each one of these sections on a slide. So you're making speaker's notes this week. Do they go on the slides? Not yet. They will go on the slides. At the bottom of the slides, right here, this is using PowerPoint, and most of you, I'm sure, will be using PowerPoint. But if you use Google Slides, there's the same section on the slides right here to add notes. Now, you see that, click to add notes. Your audience can't see this part. So when you pull this up on the computer, all they see is that slide, that beautiful teal and black slide with the fish, and they do not see this part at the bottom. So that's what you have to do this week. No discussion board postings, just your speaker's notes from all of your project. And with that being said, if you need anything this week, please let me know, m.sigmon@snhu.edu. I'm here to help you. I'll answer any questions that you have. I always answer within 24 hours, sometimes within a few minutes, depending on if I'm online or not. One other thing to remind you about is that Sunday, August the 20th, is the last day of this course, and everything has to be turned in before midnight that night. You cannot upload anything after that time. If you're thinking that you want to ask for an incomplete, the one thing that you need to be aware of is that you have to have 70% of this course successfully completed. That means you have a passing grade before I can even turn in a request for an incomplete. So be aware of that, please. Hopefully you won't have to do that. You're going to get caught up and you're going to get everything turned in on time. So just so you know, Sunday, August the 20th is the last day to turn in everything possible in this course. With that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful week this week, and please do just let me know if you need anything.